A society which soon will be governed by these female lunatics, because men are stupid enough to let it happen and women are sick enough to invent this insanity. I believe there's something quite wrong with women's mental health. Or I could bluntly put it like this: almost all young women, both individual or as a collective, are, and I'm sorry to say so, mentally insane. It doesn't mean that they're not intelligent. On the contrary, women can work with male inventions, take over male jobs, drive their cars, fly planes, and anything else that men came up with. However, whenever women themselves come up with something, they always seem to create the exact opposite of the goal they want to achieve. Mostly by screaming, yelling, aggression,
physically remove the students,
and portraying themselves as ill-treated victims. Especially the younger generation, who just don't seem to realize they're now openly demonstrating this female erratic behavior by the bizarre way they protest and march through the streets as the fourth wave of feminists. It's typically female to achieve equality, and once they have it, continue to whine about trivial things, blowing them up to disproportional problems like the way men sit, or how men explain things, or how they open the door or don't open the door for them, or how men approach them, how they operate the air conditioning.
It's the air conditioning that's sexist.
I know. So many women in our office have the exact same problem.
Trivial as it may be, this is now starting to have a huge impact everywhere and turning today's society into a world gone completely mad. It's as if all the whining within a marriage, which in the past was acted out within the confines of their private homes, has gone public now, and so have their methods. Whether it is pouring bleach over men's crotches, hitting men, female teachers raping young boys, falsely accusing and reporting men, destroying men's careers, women seem to be revealing their true identity and are showing us what it really is that's been driving the men crazy. They are dragging many men with them into a global folie à deux of both sexes, and this strange disorder is growing explosively the last years. When women are alone with their thoughts, they seem to express themselves as children. You can see this on social media forums such as Facebook. They seem to lack the capacity to think up original thoughts or ideas. This is why they mostly communicate using clichés and favor the use of memes or poetry, usually written by someone else, to express their feelings. Just look around on the internet and you'll see that everybody, including men, are cultivating this toddler-like kindergarten style. Women have largely contributed to this childish PC society where everything is offensive. Just think about which of the sexes always tended to be offended. It weren't the men. Many women present themselves to be highly engaged and sensitive to issues like veganism, animal cruelty, and environmental issues. It's not that men don't care, it's just that the women seem to be addicted to excessively showing the outside world how much compassion and empathy they have. In private, these women hopelessly struggle with their feelings, emotions, and identity, while their psychologist may already have diagnosed them with borderline personality syndrome, mood disorder, bipolar disorder, eating disorder, hypersensitivity disorder, or any of these words trying to pinpoint this erratic mental behavior. In public, women will prefer the term high sensitive because it's promoted as a precious gift with many benefits, which causes women to now openly flaunt with their high sensitivity, as if it's a virtue, a God-given talent. Never mind the fact it's a disorder in disguise. High sensitivity is a holistic celebration of life, art, beauty, and the list goes on. In private, they might wreak havoc on their relationships, demanding the password of the phone, checking his messages, suspecting, accusing, cross-examining as she's a Gestapo trainee, While at the end of the day, she will take his child, house and money. But in public, those women appear to be as zen as the Dalai Lama. They care even more for others than for themselves. Their unselfishness and compassion knows no bounds, and while advocating these obvious good causes such as anti-animal cruelty, poverty in Africa, donations, mentally or physically challenged, cancer and all other forms of awareness, they present themselves as the incarnation of Mother Teresa and all what is good. And no one in their right mind would dare to question them. But their underlying pathology is much more savage, as women use these ideological utopic views and male wisdom as a vehicle of doctrine. And they are transforming society into a man-hating society by blaming men for all what's not good about their patriarchal society. It's impossible for men to argue against ideologies. After all, they built this patriarchal society and will have to admit what's wrong with the society they built. And this is why men have no choice but to go along. As if all men in the Western society said, yes dear, as in a marriage. So today, boys are growing up in this female-enforced doctrine to value a woman's opinion, and it has been made very clear that they are the aggressors by default. While they see how marvelous women are, which explains why young men are converting into these eunuch-like soft characters, which is not what women want, as at the end they will claim they want a real man. Sigmund Freud said, "The great question that has never been answered, and which I have not yet been able to answer, despite my 30 years of research in feminine soul, is what does a woman want?" Well, Sigmund, there's no answer to that question. Women do not know what they want. Right now, they say they want equality, but it looks as though they want to get rid of men in power, or men in general, or not. It's just impossible to tell. Maybe they just want to be able to do what men can do, but just weren't designed that way, and deep down they envy men because of it. And out of this envy comes resentment, which might explain the growing misandry today. It's common knowledge, women always have been the ones calling the shots in almost any family. Any TV series and countless movies and books have parodied or joked about it. But then again, these are children of the unmasked divorcing 60s generation of hippie flower children whom became this traumatized new generation. It's just what divorce, meaning a missing parent, does to a child. Now, traumatized people develop this tendency to prevent people from experiencing what they have gone through. So they became lawyers, mediators, judges and social workers in times when feminism was at its height. By the end of the 90s, especially the family law branch became overrepresented by women due to the positive discrimination which was at its peak. And they are the ones in charge. A female lawyer, a female judge passing female-tailored laws which were always in favor of the mother. Women tend to be more emotional and thus are more likely to listen to their feelings instead of facts, which makes it a terrible combination when these women are put in such an important, judgmental position like a social service worker, mediator, lawyer or judge. Are you able to judge accurately, being the traumatized and messed up character you are? Because in family law you can already see what kind of system such a female system would be. It's 100% benefiting the women. It consists of basically all evil schemes, and in the end it is destructive for the child, the father and the mother. So it will fail miserably in all possible ways, as anything else orchestrated by women will fail equally. Women may think they are still fighting for equality, but when looking at our society, women already have surpassed men and in fact are already oppressing them. The first wave feminists had something to fight for. They got what they wanted, more than they were able to handle, and today we're at the fourth wave of feminism. Women who mentally seem to be stuck in their teens. showing the world that women cannot handle the responsibility that they fought so hard to get. The left and female indoctrination in schools, movies and social media teaches young women that women still need to fight for equality. Since 2017, equality might be the most delicate, sensitive and trending issue at the moment. It has become an indisputable necessary truth that women still are oppressed and men are the violent oppressors. No young man dares to question this, while young women are fueled by the fact that their screaming and shouting is paying off in a major way, and is now paving the way for a new generation in which young men are silenced and young women are looking for new things to fight for, which basically are new ways to oppress men.
A space on campus that's, for me and other women or female identifying persons like me, it's just so inclusive.
The women's room is just like any other room. It's like this room that we're in right now. It's got some tea, it's got a lot of lesbian fiction novels.
It's just borderline insanity, and it's getting so overly dominant, even men have no choice but to mimic this weird behavior. It's as if women, adult women, are in a perpetual state of adolescence, basically going against the grain. No matter how much attention they get, no matter how much equality there is, they will continue to complain and feel restless, insecure and unsatisfied with their whole being. The entire Me Too campaign, which exploded this so-called fourth wave of feminism onto the world, merely shows you the woman who has got the power and what she does with it. She doesn't create, she destroys. And the louder she screams, the weaker she is, but the more she gets. Fact is that women don't seem to realize they already are in power. And they completely overthrew the patriarchal system with the Me Too movement by converting the initial sexual harassment into a doctrine in which sexual harassment can apply to anything a man does and proclaiming each existing man guilty by suspicion just because he is a man. Whereas the woman is always the victim and therefore by default innocent. In family law, they have showed that it's the man's possessions and doom they are after, with the child as their playing card. And we have grown accustomed to this sick habit. With the Me Too rage, they have shown how they can bring down and hunt down men. This hasn't been about equality for a long time. Our ancestors, as well as all religions, most certainly knew about this. And as far as I'm concerned, if we, as women, continue this way, we will end up screwing it all up, and we will have learned why patriarchal systems existed years ago and why we had lost our right to vote. From time immemorial, men and women have coexisted side by side on this planet, like all male and female life forms, as a symbiosis to the advantage of both, dividing their skills equally. This is equality. This is as equal as it gets. The animal kingdom figured it out. Most religions and most cultures figured it out. Our ancestors clearly understood this equality. Men do the jobs they're good at. Women do the jobs they're good at. Women are now fighting against biological factors, and it's a fight they can never win. Men have this innate interest to explore, examine and build worlds. Women just don't have that. Their innate interest is to explore, examine themselves and build fat around it to develop yet another disorder. You cannot co-govern a world when your interest primarily consists of who slept with whom and gossiping about it. Because whichever way you twist it, this is the main interest of women. It's shopping, shoes, sex and slander. Women for sure won't want to exchange their sexual embellishment and their lipstick for coal mining clothes and a lamp. They rather would see men's masculinity being stripped and outlawed while cheering the transgenders and the rest of the alphabet of gender-neutral people. Because these physically and mentally castrated men can be welcomed into this equality-demanding group of women. As long as they don't participate in sports or enter their safe spaces. Female-only safe spaces. No men allowed. The seat of the equivalent of the whites-only benches in South Africa's apartheid era. That's not equality though. It's actually the exact opposite of gender equality. That's a weird kind of confused female supremacy and eradicating of all that's masculine. What do those young women do in their university safe spaces? They finger paint, for one thing, and this is frighteningly underlining the kindergarten-like state of mind of these women. One should expect them to read Nietzsche or Confucius or Plato, but these are all men. How long before US campuses will start burning books written by men? After all, it's all mansplaining. Women are mentally insane. And right now they are dragging the entire Western civilization, men included, into this unbelievable farce which is rapidly evolving into a plain, sick and disturbed society. A society which soon will be governed by these female lunatics, because men are stupid enough to let it happen and women are sick enough to invent this insanity. It seems women have invented something after all besides the brown bag. Incoherent insanity within a society. This seemed to be the first time in history of mankind, a forbidden word, women actually are at liberty to do this. We don't know for sure though. Maybe it did occur in the history of mankind before, with the mythical Amazons. Men were killed and just a few of them were kept alive for offspring. If it's not a myth, but the building up to a new, all-female dominated society, we do know what lies in store for men, and how this is all going to end for them.